which is thorny. There are a lot of thorns around. Have you ever done that? And so Umar radiallahu anhu said that, yes, of course I have. And he said, so what do you do? So he said, so what do I do? So I roll up my sleeves, I roll up my clothes, and I try my best to avoid it, right? And so Ubay bin Ka'b radiallahu anhu said, he said, that is taqwa. That is taqwa. That you try your best to avoid things, you're very careful, right? You're careful with every step that you take. Every step you have in your mind that these are thorns that can harm me. So similarly, taqwa in our lives is that every step that we take, every action that we do, we try to keep it within the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set within for us. So you see the connection, that fasting is this refraining, and taqwa is this avoiding thorns, right? So fasting is direct training for taqwa. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the next ayah, أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَاتٍ, only a few days, just a few days, right? You can count them. And then he says, he talks about the exceptions, that whoever is sick, whoever is traveling, can make them up on a different day. And whoever can't do it at all, what can they do? They can do a fidya, right? If an old person who cannot do the qada for it, then they can give some charity, and then that will suffice them for the fasting. But whoever's able to do so, they should do it. That will be better for them. So this ayah, the whole idea is about what? Ease. Ease. That fasting is made easy for us. We don't have to fast 24 hours like the Jews did, right? Even before Islam, the fast used to start not from suhoor time. It used to start from when you go to sleep. So when somebody goes to sleep, there's no suhoor. So you have to start fasting until then. So almost 24 or 20 hours. So it was made easy for us, right? يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. In the next ayah, that Allah wants ease for you. He does not want difficulty for you. So this idea is also very important and will come in the fiqh as well. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants ease for us, and we should not fast if there is a legitimate reason not to, if we'll be harmed by it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then mentions, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The month of Ramadan is the one that the Quran was revealed in. هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان, as guidance and as clear proofs and as something which differentiates falsehood from truth. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. So whoever of you is present on this day, on this month, he should fast it. Whoever of you witnesses the month should fast it. What is the connection between the Quran being revealed and us having to fast on this day? On this month. So the Quran was revealed from the Lawh al-Mahfuz to the lowest heaven. Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, he took down the Quran from the Lawh al-Mahfuz to the Sama'ud Dunya, the lowest heaven. And then over 23 years, it was given piece by piece to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, right? But that initial revelation came during Laylatul Qadr, which is in Ramadan, right? So it's as if, and it's interesting that in this month also, it's sunnah to do a khatam of the Quran as well. So just as Angel Jibreel, he brought down the Quran, it's as if we are also supposed to be receiving the Quran over this month, all together, right? And then over the next year, just like when it was revealed, the Prophet ﷺ, then it took 23 years for it to be completely revealed and understood and applied. So in Ramadan, it is as if we are receiving it, and over the next year, we have to apply it, right? Throughout the rest of the year. So it's the month of the Quran as well. And then the last thing, after these ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions the famous ayah, which is, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. That when my servants ask you about me, then I am near. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I answer the one who calls upon me when he calls me. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا. So they should respond to me, and they should believe in me, so that they can be rightly guided. So this is a month of building our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we ask Him for whatever we need, that we realize that we're utterly dependent on Him. So that we ask Him especially for what? Rahmah, maghfirah, and being freed of the fire, especially those things. So inshallah we'll begin with the ahkam. So what is fasting? Fasting is what we mentioned, is to abstain, to refrain from doing something, right? In this case, the specific sawm that we have is to refrain from food and drink and any intimacy from dawn to dusk, which is from subh sadiq, when fajr time comes in, until maghrib time enters, with its intention, with its niyyah, right? So any act of ibadah, we have to have the niyyah for it, that the intention is made, and then therefore it's not just us being hungry, it's that we're being rewarded for it. We're only rewarded if we make the niyyah for something. So this intention must be made before the midpoint of the day, which is about half an hour before dhuhr. Half an hour before dhuhr is halfway between when fajr time begins and when maghrib time begins. So halfway through when you're fasting, it should be made before then. So that then you have the intention for the majority at least. So if someone, for example, he doesn't wake up for suhoor, and then he has until then to make the intention. The intention, it doesn't mean that you have to say something. You have to say, I intend, I make the niyyah to fast today. What it means is that you have the resolve in your heart to do the action. So for example, if somebody wakes up for suhoor, they're very sleepy, they're not thinking properly, right? They just wake up, they eat a little bit, they go to sleep. They have the intention. Otherwise, why did they wake up for suhoor, right? Of course, they woke up so that they can fast. So that is what is meant by intention. It's good to say that if you would like to do it, but the intention is in the heart. So when does it become obligatory? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we mentioned, said, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. Whoever observes the month should fast it, meaning observes the moon, right? So whoever observes the moon must fast. So either it's by observing the moon, or if it's not sighted, then completing the 30 days of Sha'ban, as in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who must fast? So obviously Muslim, if someone is Muslim, if he is sane, meaning that he is in control, he is rational, he can think properly, not someone who has a mental defect or some mental sickness. Mature, meaning he is baligh, he or she is baligh. So that usually occurs around between 10 to 15 years, somewhere in that. It can be even younger, and but usually between 10 to 15 years. Someone who is healthy, so we'll discuss the exceptions later if someone is sick. Someone who is not traveling. So what this means is that a person is not traveling at the time of Fajr. So if when Fajr comes in, when you have to start fasting, if the person is traveling at that time, they don't have to fast. But if the person is not traveling at that time, let's say someone has a flight, but it's in the afternoon. Otherwise, they're in their house, and then in the afternoon they leave, they go start traveling. Then they will have to fast that day. And then someone who is free from menstruation or postnatal bleeding for the ladies. So if menstruation starts to happen in the middle of the day, then that day must be repeated as qada. So even if the whole day there is no menstruation, and then right before Maghrib, a few minutes, the menstruation starts, then she will have to make up that day as qada. Now, for what breaks the fast? So what breaks the fast? When a fast-breaking agent, meaning a substance, when a substance reaches the throat, stomach, or intestines, the digestive system, via the mouth, nose, or the backside. One of those three passageways, because these three passageways connect to the digestive system. There are other openings in the body as well. For example, your ears or your eyes, they're also openings, but they do not go into the digestive system directly. They're indirect. So only these 3 openings to the digestive system, or any form of sexual gratification. So based on what we have just spoken about, we can answer some common questions that comes up in modern medicine. So for example, IVs. So IV, if somebody is in the hospital, they need an IV, or they need any type of injection. How does that go into the body? It goes in through the skin. So the skin is not a direct opening into digestive system, right? It goes into the bloodstream. So since it is not the mouth or the nose or the backside, then IVs do not break fast. They do not break the fast. What about a nicotine patch? If someone is trying to quit smoking, which is good, then if someone has a nicotine patch that's on their skin, then that also does not break the fast. Eye drops. So sometimes when you take an eye drop, you can actually taste it in your throat. That taste doesn't do anything. It's only if the substance is swallowed into the stomach. So even if you can taste it, the eye drops, it still doesn't break the fast. So eye drops, they don't. Suppository, which is medicine which is inserted into the backside. So if medicine is inserted into the backside, then it does break the fast, right? Because that is part of the digestive system. Nasal drops, they do, because nose goes into the throat. So if it goes into the throat and then swallowed down from there, then it does break the fast. But if, for example, if it just stays in the nose, it doesn't go back, then it won't break the fast, although one should not do that because it could break it, right? It's just like tasting something. Tasting something, it doesn't break the fast. But you shouldn't do it. It would be makruh if there's no reason, because there's a possibility of swallowing. Okay. Now, if someone purposefully breaks the fast, if someone purposefully breaks their fast, that is a very severe crime. That is a very severe crime, and it obligates what is known as kafara, an expiation. So the kafara, as we'll see, is that someone has to fast 2 consecutive months, 60 days. 60 consecutive days if they purposefully break their fast, right? Meaning if they're baligh and it was fard for them to fast. So this is a very severe thing. So now so that's only if there was a complete desire to eat or to do that thing. Now, if it was broken on accident, or if it was broken, forgetfully, or some other things, as we'll see, then you only have to do qada. There's no kafara due, okay? And there's no sin for that if it was unintentional. So sometimes you have to do qada only makeup. Sometimes you have to do qada and kafara. So what scenarios you have to do qada? Which scenarios you have to do kafara and qada? So we have something called form and constructively. Constructively means meaning. So if the fast is broken in its form, surah, and meaning, ma'na, then both qada and kafara are necessary. If it is only one of them, then only qada is necessary. So what is the form and what is the meaning? We'll talk about it right now. What does it mean to break form? Suratan. Form means to consume something, to swallow something. To swallow something. Or in the case of intimacy, the insertion of the organ into the front or back passage. So that's what it means to be breaking the fast in terms of form. To break the fast constructively or in meaning, what does someone want to get out of it? What does someone want to get out of breaking their fast? They want to satisfy their desire, right? So it means to satisfy your desire. So if in the case of eating, if you eat something which gives you benefit, if you eat food, something which has nutritional value, something which has medicinal value, then that is considered fulfilling your appetite, desire to eat, and then fulfilling the carnal desire as well, which is through, we'll discuss. So if both of these happen, then kafara and qada are due. If one of them happen, only qada is due. What are some examples for only qada? So for example, mistakenly eating or drinking, right? So if someone mistakenly eats or drinks, then they will have to do qada. Mistaken is different from forgetting. There's a difference. There's forgetting and then there is mistake. For example, let's say someone he forgot he was fasting, so he started to eat his meal. That's forgetting. So the Prophet ﷺ said that if someone forgetfully eats, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving his rizq to him, right? So it doesn't break your fast. It's excused. So someone can, if they're forgetting, they eat something, and then later they remember, it doesn't break their fast. They can continue fasting. Mistakenly means that you know that you are fasting. You have in your mind that you're fasting. For example, someone is brushing their teeth. Someone is brushing their teeth, or someone is doing wudu even. Someone is doing wudu and they gargle, or they do kulli, right? You shouldn't do it too much if you're fasting. But someone is gargling, and water goes down, but they know they're fasting. In this case, it's broken. If they know they're fasting at the time, it's broken. If they forgot they were fasting, it's not broken. Is that clear? Okay. In either case, though, there's no sin. There's no sin for it, right? Now, if someone is made a mistake, they should take precaution to not make that mistake, right? If someone is gargling, they should not gargle too much. They should just do it a little bit, not all the way back. No, this is only qada. Everything here is no kafara, only qada. Everything on this page. Now, so that goes for eating, drinking, or intimacy, mistakenly. Forgetfully as well. So forgetfully, it does not require qada at all. Nothing happens. Now, consuming which does not give bodily benefits, such as paper. So let's say someone, they ate some paper, they ate some soil, they ate something else, which is not food, right? So they didn't satisfy their desire to eat. You wouldn't say they satisfied their desire. So in this case, the fast is broken. They have to make qada, but they don't have to give kafara. They did not satisfy their desire. Medicine taken by other than the mouth. Okay, so we saw that breaking in form means to consume by mouth, to swallow. So if it's other than the mouth, then it was only qada and no kafara. So suppository nasal spray, nasal drops, that would be only qada. If it's swallowed. Coercion. So if someone forces somebody to do something, then only qada, no kafara, no sin there. Then we have ejaculation through kissing or through touching or self-induced, which is not permissible. There's sin for the last one, even outside of Ramadan, and even in the first two, there would be sin if someone could take a precaution. So someone should not go to this level of intimacy, but if they do, then it would only be qada if it was not the full intimacy. And there would be no kafara. Some more examples of things which only obligate qada and not kafara. So for example, if someone vomits, and that vomit is a mouthful, and then they purposefully swallow it, or if they purposefully vomit, if they make themselves vomit, right? If they take a medicine, if they take the medicine, then that would itself break the fast. But if they touch their throat so that they can vomit, and then they swallow some, then that would be qada. Not starting the fast at all. So there's a difference between breaking the fast and not starting the fast. So if you never had the niyyah for it, let's say in the morning, you didn't make the niyyah to fast, then you still have to make qada if it's Ramadan. But if you eat or drink that day without having the niyyah, then you won't have to pay kafara. You do the kafara. If you had the niyyah, if you had the intention, you started to fast, then it's broken, then you'll have to do the kafara. Okay. Breaking the fast due to a medical need. Or, so breaking the fast due to some medical need, someone became sick, there was some medication they needed to take, then they will have to make that up, but not kafara. Okay. Now, Examples of qada and kafara. So kafara is only when someone deliberately eats or drinks something which gives a bodily benefit. Or they have intercourse, not forgetfully, but they know that they're fasting, right? The full intercourse. And what is included in this is smoking as well. So if someone smokes during the day in Ramadan while they're fasting, then they would have to fast 2 months consecutively, 60 days, if they smoke during Ramadan, because that's the ingesting the smoke. The smoke goes down the throat. So what is the kafara? So kafara means fasting for 2 consecutive months. 2 consecutive months. And so 60 days, fasting every single day. If they didn't fast one day, then they have to start the 60 again, right? And so this is very harsh, right? So why is it like this? It's because if someone intentionally breaks their fast in Ramadan, that's a very big deal, right? It's a very bad thing. And so that's why it's so severe. Although if someone is in their situation, they should ask a mufti, because there could be some circumstance which makes it not obligatory. If someone can't do this, fasting for 2 consecutive months, for a genuine medical need, not just because they don't want to, then they would have to feed 60 needy people 2 meals each. So the sadaqatul fitr 60 times. Okay. So 2 times each. 2 times meaning 2 meals per day. Yeah. So 60 people. It could be 2 meals each, or it could even be 1 person on 60 days. Now, if someone breaks their fast, it doesn't mean they can do whatever they want the rest of the day. If someone breaks their fast, then they have to refrain from eating or drinking the rest of the day. They will not be considered fasting because the fast is broken. But they will be imitating the fasting people. Because Ramadan is a month which has a sanctity, that it has a hurma, that you can't just go around eating or drinking, even if you broke your fast. You have to imitate the one who is fasting. There are a few other scenarios where someone has to imitate a fasting person, even though they are not fasting. So for example, becoming pure after menstruation or postnatal bleeding, if that happens in the middle of the day, then that lady will have to refrain from eating or drinking the rest of the day. Even though she's not fasting, she imitates the fasting person. Then also someone becoming baligh in the middle of the day, or someone becoming Muslim in the middle of the day. Then they should refrain from eating or drinking the rest of the day, although they will not have to do qada or kafara if they don't do that. Okay, things that do not break the fast. So we had 3 levels. We have things that don't break the fast, things that obligate qada, and then things that obligate qada and kafara. So this is the 3rd level. So forgetfulness, we said, if someone forgot they were just eating or drinking or even having intercourse while they forgot that they fasted, they must stop immediately. If they continue to do that action while after they remember, then they will have to do qada and perhaps kafara as well. So they should refrain from doing so right when they remember. Wet dreams as well. So wet dream, if that happens in the middle of the day, then that doesn't break the fast if someone is sleeping. Applying any oil or lotion or perfume, anything to the skin, it doesn't break the fast. Even if someone can feel the vapor or the gas in their nose. So for example, if somebody puts Vicks on their face or on their chest, right? It's a very heavy smell. But any kind of smell does not break the fast. So even Vicks, it doesn't break it. But if it's smoke, if it's something that has a substance, right? Then it will break the fast if it's intentionally inhaled. If it's intentional. But if there's just smoke, in the surroundings, like it says down here, if it's something that is, it's hard to avoid. If you're just walking and there's smoke around you, or a fly went into your mouth, or dust went into your mouth, it's hard to avoid, then that doesn't break the fast.
So you cannot take the vaporizer?
Vaporizer? Like inhaler for asthma? So asthma inhaler, yeah, so one should not take that if it's a smoke. Yeah, but they can ask a mufti in that case if they have some need.
How about sleep apnea machine?
During the day or during at night? At night you're not fasting, so they're doing it during the day. So what is it that goes into the mouth?
I think it's has a humidifier with a vapor.
Okay, we can ask, I think Mufti Azaz will be here later. We can ask him, inshallah. So it's like a moist air. Yeah. Yeah, we can ask inshallah when he comes. He'll come.
In case of diabetic patient,
Yeah.
they used to take insulin. Insulin is going in the skin, it's not going in the skin.
Yeah. We'll ask Mufti Azaz when he comes.
There's a session after this one, question and answer, so I didn't know, that's why I asked the question. So please hold it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, diabetes, it's a sensitive scenario, so we'll ask him inshallah. Few other things do not break the fast. So for example, drawing blood, cupping. So there's a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that the one who does cupping, hijama, he broke his fast. But we don't understand that literally. We understand that as that either that specific person was breaking their fast because they were doing something, or we understand it that one should not do hijama if it's going to make them weak that they can't fast. So anything that is going to make you so weak that you can't fast, you should not do during Ramadan, right? So if someone thinks that, for example, some people when they have blood drawn at the doctors, they faint and they need some calories to wake them up or something. So if someone thinks they're going to become weak, they shouldn't do those things without a need. So concentrated oxygen as well. Anything which is air obviously does not break the fast because we breathe it. But we'll ask about the sleep apnea. Tasting food. So any taste or any smell doesn't break the fast. You have to ingest a substance to break the fast. Waking up in janaba, where someone has to do ghusl, doesn't break. Water entering the ear. So anything entering the ear doesn't break the fast because it doesn't go into the digestive system. Swallowing saliva, if it's anything which is already in the mouth, right? Even after suhoor, one should clean their mouth after suhoor. But if there are tiny bits of food that go down after, then that also doesn't break the fast. But one should clean. One shouldn't be, eating those things after suhoor. Using a miswak, right? So using a miswak or using a toothbrush doesn't break the fast. However, a toothpaste. Ideally, one should, if one is using toothpaste, one should do that before, at suhoor time or before, because it is makruh to taste something. It's makruh to taste something unnecessarily while fasting. So one should either brush their teeth without toothpaste, or they should do it before the suhoor time ends. Okay, disliked, yeah. So disliked tasting without any need. So if someone tastes food, just a taste, they didn't swallow any substance, that doesn't break the fast. However, it's makruh to do this without any need to do that thing. Chewing as well, if they don't swallow it. Any kissing or touching which doesn't lead to actual intimacy. This is makruh if someone thinks it may lead to them breaking their fast. Right, so something which is very light, perhaps that's fine, but something which may lead to more, that would be makruh. So that same idea with tasting and chewing, that it may lead to the fast being broken, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Things that are preferable, that are sunnah during Ramadan. So to eat suhoor is a sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ said, eat suhoor because there's barakah in eating suhoor. It makes one have this strength to fast the rest of the day. So even if someone wakes up and just drinks a few sips of water, maybe eats one date or two, even then they should try to wake up for suhoor. They shouldn't say, well, I want to sleep, so I'll just fast. I just won't eat the whole night. One should take advantage of that rukhsah. Then not delaying iftar. So when Maghrib comes in, one should rush towards breaking their fast. So even if it's just water or a date, and then after praying, they can have their full meal. So excuses for missing a fast. Excuses. So we mentioned traveling. So traveling, if that person is traveling at that time when fasting starts, when Fajr comes in. So then they have the permission not to fast on that day. But if the fast starts in the middle, if the travel starts in the middle of the day, they must still fast until the Maghrib comes in. If someone is traveling for a longer period of time, as long as they're not staying for more than 14 days, if they're staying for less than that, then they're still considered traveling. So someone travels for a week and then they're coming back. So during that week, they have permission not to fast. Although if there's no difficulty while traveling, then it would be better to fast, right? If there's a genuine difficulty that the flight is very long, or it requires some effort on the body, then it's okay if someone doesn't fast. Otherwise, it's preferable to fast if there's no difficulty. Sickness. So what do we mean by sickness in Sharia? So sickness, it doesn't mean the same thing that we just think about normally. Sickness in Sharia means that a reliable Muslim doctor has informed you that if you were to fast, that would be harmful for you. A reliable Muslim, pious Muslim, practicing Muslim doctor informed you that it will be harmful for you to fast. So oftentimes if you ask a doctor, especially non-Muslim doctor, if you ask them, should I fast or not, they'll just say don't fast, right? There's no need to fast. But if you ask someone who knows the importance of fasting, a reliable Muslim practicing doctor, then they will say, maybe we can change the medicine schedule, right? We can give the medicine a little bit more. We can give you a long-acting medication, right? So that you don't have to take it during the day. So they'll find ways for you to also fast if you need to. Or they'll say, maybe you won't feel very good. You'll feel tired, but you can still fast. It'll still be healthy for you. So you must ask a Muslim, practicing Muslim, reliable doctor. Or if you personally have past experience that this thing is going to be harmful for you. So for example, a pregnant lady, in her previous pregnancy, she tried to fast. And it was harmful for her, or it was harmful for the baby. She didn't produce enough milk. Then in that case, if it's a similar scenario, past Ramadan, she was 2 years ago, she was 6 months pregnant. 2 years later, she's also 6 months pregnant. So then that would be experience. That means that most likely you're going to be harmed. So if most likely there's going to be some harm, then there's permission not to fast. Usually, when it comes to pregnancy and breastfeeding ladies, there is a way for them to fast. Usually, in most scenarios, normal scenarios, if there's no other complication, then there is a way for them to fast. So they should consult with their doctors, and they should see whether they're able to fast. Now, if someone cannot find a Muslim doctor, if there's no Muslim doctor, then what they should do is they should ask a very specific question, which is not should I fast, they should ask if I fast, what will happen to me, right? So then the doctor might say, well, you'll be tired, or there might be a small risk of this or that. Then someone should still fast in that case. But they shouldn't just ask a non-Muslim, should I fast or not? Extreme old age. So if someone is very weak and they don't have the strength to fast, if someone has a chronic illness, then and they don't have that strength, then also they have an excuse to miss the fast. In the first two, if someone is traveling or temporarily sick, they will have to do qada. If someone it's a chronic or it's old age, then they will have to pay the fidya, which we'll cover. So fidya is someone who cannot fast throughout the year, meaning so sometimes Ramadan is in the summer, sometimes it's in the winter, right? So in the summer, some people, they can fast in the winter, but they cannot fast in the summer, right? So if someone can, let's say Ramadan is in the summer, if Ramadan is in the summer, it's very difficult for them. So they're not fasting during Ramadan. But they can do qada in the winter. Then they have to do qada in the winter. Now, if someone cannot fast any day of the year, and they don't have any hope of regaining their health, like their health is declining, they're old or they have a chronic illness and they don't have any hope of regaining health, then they should pay the sadaqatul fitr amount for every day missed. So every day they should feed one poor person, which is the sadaqatul fitr amount. If someone has a hope that they will regain their health and that they will be able to do a qada later, then they must do the qada. Okay. Any questions right now?
So if you are traveling in the afternoon and you started fast in the morning, what time you should break the fast?
So let's say you have a flight, right? You have a flight in the afternoon. And so the nice thing is that it's very easy to tell what Maghrib time is, right? You just look outside if it's dark. So you can calculate it as well. Like now they give you on the plane, they give you the flight path, right? So you can tell exactly where you are. You can check the prayer time for that location that you're over right now. Or you can look out the window. When it's dark, then you break your fast. When Maghrib comes in.
Same thing goes with suhoor?
Same thing with, so suhoor is sometimes a little bit difficult to tell because you can't always see the sun, right? The sunlight. But you should be safe. That as long as I know that that the sun has not, the dawn has not come yet, the sunrise, the sun's rays have not appeared yet, then you can eat. But if you think it may appear or it may have appeared, then you should stop from that point onward.
So if you are international passenger, let's say suppose you started
Yeah.
here when you reached here, but by the time you reach the exit in the morning, right? So you have to fast all 24 hours.
Yeah, so someone should plan out their schedule, right? So if they're on an international flight, they should plan out, okay, at this time, suhoor will come in, at this point in my flight, iftar will come. And so then you should not fast 24 hours. There should always be a period that you can break your fast, right? Before the next day starts. Sometimes what happens is that the fast gets extended. I think if you're flying west, sometimes that happens, that the flight is longer, right? So then the flight is extended. So then you should plan ahead of time. You know, you should have a good suhoor, you should prepare yourself for longer fasting. And then if at some point in that flight, then you really feel you cannot continue, that some harm is going to come to you, then there's permission to break your fast. But you should plan that you are going to fast until Maghrib comes.
So you're going to break your fast according to your destination?
No, you will break your fast according to where you are right now. Like if I'm flying to India, and right now I'm over Russia, let's say. Then I will break my fast if Maghrib came in where I am right now. Yeah, so that's why you can look out the window. You can look out the window. If the sun is not there, if it's dark, then Maghrib time came in, right? So then you can break your fast. But you should have an idea ahead of time. Now they have like these apps as well. They have some apps that you can see when exactly your iftar and suhoor will come on your flight. Yes, so if you're making qada, then you cannot just wake up and say that I'm fasting. You have to make the intention the night before, that this is going to be my qada. The same thing happens with salah, right? Salah, if you're making a qada salah, then you have to make the intention, right? When you're starting, that this is qada. You can't just say that, okay, I prayed 2 rakahs, then let's make this my qada for my fajr.
But in your heart you already have that I'm praying this qada.
Yes, so if you have it in your heart, that if someone asked you that why are you praying, and then you say, you would have responded that I'm praying my qada, then that's fine. That's your niyyah.
And you can do that with the Mondays and Thursdays fast, right? You can make the intention of qada.
Yes, so you can do qada on those days. That's a good practice, to do qada on the Mondays and Thursdays or the 13th, 14th, 15th. That's good as well.
So one medical
vertigo, what happens? Some patient may feel, kind of inner ear, the liquids are, disturbed. Because of that, the patient needs to expel the, vomiting. So in that case, it's a kind of accidental, we say. So unless he is not able to expel the vomiting, he can't able to comfortable. So in expel of vomiting, because of the vertigo condition, so in that case, the fasting we need to keep again, or it's gonna be rectified. It's okay.
Yeah.
Keep continuing.
So we'll have Mufti Azad Sahib, inshallah, if you could answer.
Yeah. So it's kind of accidental vomiting, when we face kind of vertigo kind of situation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I just want to just understand the question that if someone, whether it be vertigo or with any sickness, if vomit were to come out
In middle of the fasting.
in the middle of fasting. So the issue is that if the vomit came out accidentally, it doesn't break the fast. Okay? If a person purposely vomits and then takes it back down, only then the fast will break. So if a person were to vomit, whether it be vertigo, whether it be for any other reason, whether it be they're traveling, they're not feeling well, the vomit itself does not break the fast. It's when a person deliberately takes it back in, that's when it's going to break. Okay?
When you say take it back, does it have to come out the mouth and then take it in, or if it goes up to
No. If it's a significant amount, comes out, and then he takes it back down. If it's just one of those, like the spicy burp, for example, some people get, or just a small amount comes out and goes back down, that doesn't break your fast.
But if it comes up to the throat and then goes back in?
If it goes back on its own, it doesn't break your fast. When you deliberately take it down, that's when it breaks.
And then regarding to doing qada, if there are multiple intentional breakings, would it be multiple qadas or would it be just one qada?
So for Ramadan, each fast has a separate qada. Each fast that a person...
What I meant is each intentional breaking would have a separate qada.
Are you talking about kafara or qada?
I'm sorry, kafara.
Kafara, okay. So the concept is called tadakhul. So you can combine multiple occasions of breaking into one kafara. That is permissible, as long as they both were in the past. But if the kafara is already made up and someone then deliberately breaks the fast again, the previous kafara will not count. But if someone had two different occasions of deliberately breaking their fast of the month of Ramadan without a valid excuse, then they can combine both of those into one kafara. Yeah.
So should you avoid gargling in case you are suspicious that you would swallow it?
Yes, that is the etiquette. The etiquette that in the month of Ramadan when you're fasting, you should not gargle too deep into the mouth. And you should not put water in your nose too much either. You should only put it to the front of the mouth and to the front of the nose when making wudu, and also when making ghusl as well. So miswak itself, the miswak that's the original stick, okay? There's no flavors added to it. The mint flavor, lemon flavor, chocolate flavor miswaks, those are, there are flavors that are added to it. So as a rule, to taste anything while you're fasting is makruh, is disliked. So if there was an added artificial flavor to it in the miswak, then you're tasting that artificial flavor, that is makruh. But the natural flavor itself, that is permissible. While you're fasting, you could eat it, you could chew it, that is permissible, whether it be in the morning hours or even after day, in the afternoon hours. In the Hanafi school, it is perfectly permissible. In fact, it is recommended that you use the miswak throughout the day, because you also want to make sure, when a person fasts, sometimes there's a foul smell that comes as well. If you fast, you go to sleep in the morning, then wake up a little bit later. You don't want to cause any type of harm to someone else as well. So using a toothbrush, we don't recommend that. Why? Because the toothpaste has a taste to it. And if the toothpaste happens to go down your throat, your fast will break. So the best option is actually to use a miswak. So use a miswak throughout the day when fasting, that is permissible. You could chew on it as well. You could spit out the shreddings of the miswak as well. That's perfectly fine. Do not swallow it. Yeah, do not swallow the miswak itself. Yeah, that's fine. That's, like I said, the natural bitter taste of the miswak, that is completely fine. Yeah.
If someone is traveling for work, let's say for several days, then is it more rewarding to fast after we take the fasting exemption and extend it?
So if a person is traveling, whether it be for work, whether it be for someone's going Umrah, whether it's, visiting family, friends, whatever it is, if a person can fast and it's not going to cause undue harm to them, that is better to fast. فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. That is better for you. Okay? But you do have the option. It means if you do not fast, it's not sinful. There's no sin occurring if you don't fast, if you want to make it up later. That's completely fine. But if it's not too difficult, especially when you're traveling domestically, you really don't feel it. If you're traveling internationally, you might feel it, or if you have a very long trip where you're driving for very long hours, you might find a little bit difficulty. But just a general flight, if it's 2 hours, 3 hours away, sitting on a plane, you're landing, it doesn't really affect your fast too much. So in those situations, it is better, it is more rewarding to fast. And the barakah of Ramadan, you cannot get that outside of Ramadan. So you're definitely going to be missing out on the barakah of Ramadan. So there's two, that's a very good one. There's a bit of confusion in this. So to understand the philosophy behind this aspect is that if the command of Allah is directed towards you, and you're in a situation that in normal situation you would have been able to fast, but you missed making the intention for the morning, then in those situations you remain for the rest of the day as a fasting person. The example is someone accepts Islam in the middle of the day. Let's say they accept Islam 12 o'clock. Obviously they didn't start the fast in the morning hours, but now they're mukallaf. Now they're in a situation, they're responsible. So even though the fast didn't start for them, but they're in a situation that if it was a normal situation, they would have fasted. So for the rest of the day, they just make tashabbu, they resemble the people that are fasting. The opposite of that is a woman who started her fast. Then in the middle, her menstruation started, her days started. Now she's in a situation that the command of Allah no longer applies to her. She does not have to remain fasting for the rest of the day. She may eat. It's better not to eat in public because people are going to get doubts, etc. They'll have some ill feelings. But in the privacy at her home, she wants to eat for the rest of the day, she may do so. So if a woman started the fast in the middle of the day, she's not able to continue anymore because of her days, then she may eat for the rest of the days, rest of the day. But if a woman in the beginning of the days, she was in her days, and then she became pure, she took a bath, let's say around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, now she is in a state where the command of Allah does apply to her now, but she just can't fast because she didn't start from the beginning of the day. So therefore she remains as if she is fasting for the rest of the day. Technically, yes, because she's not fasting, but it is better for her to make the shabu. So she's not fasting. So technically, she's not fasting. So if she were to eat, there is no penalty. But we would recommend her that if there's no restrictions, if she doesn't have to take the medicine, etc., then she remain for the rest of the day as the shabu. Same way with the person who accidentally broke the fast. They broke the fast. And now they're no longer fasting, but for the remainder of the day, they should remain as if they're fasting.
So if someone is traveling, let's say suppose in the afternoon, and the Fajr time he was not traveling, he was at home, so he started the fast. So that means even though he's traveling later, he has to fast.
Yes. That's a ruling that many people are not mindful of, that if you're going to be traveling midday, but in the morning, you're still muqim, you're still a resident, you haven't started your travels yet, you have to fast, you have to start the fast. You cannot say that, I'm going to be traveling, so I'm not going to fast. You must start the fast. You must start the fast. Once you become a musafir, once you travel, then if you feel like I won't be able to keep up the fast, then you may break it. But in the morning, you have to fast.
If you're traveling for work for let's say 5 days, right, and you're traveling in the afternoon, so only on the first day you have to fast. Rest of the day you can.
Correct. Because the rest of the day, you'll be a musafir. Yes.
We have two questions. One was on asthma inhalers and one was on apnea machines.
So the thing with asthma inhalers, there is medicine in it that does go to your lungs. That does go down your nasal cavity, that goes down your throat. So asthma inhalers will break the fast. That will break the fast. As far as some people use a device for sleep apnea at nighttime, if it's just pure oxygen, that will not break the fast. If there's any medicine that's attached with it or any foreign thing, that will break the fast.
Usually they have pure distilled water that vaporizer.
Yeah.
It's a moisture.
So if it's moisture, if it's steamed moisture, then deliberately taking in any type of physical steam, that does break your fast. Yes.
So in regards to traveling, let's say from Chicago to London, both ways, I mean, do you shorten your fast or do you lengthen your fast?
MashaAllah, a lot of people traveling in this gathering. MashaAllah. So what I recommend is when you're going east, the day is going to be shorter. It's very easy to fast. You just have to be mindful of when sunset is, and on the plane you could just drink water and break your fast. When you're coming from the east to the west, then it's one long day. The fast might be, more than 20 hours, or even more than that. And that you have to see that you have the physical strength to keep it up. Those that are a bit older, weaker, I recommend them not to do it because they could really harm themselves, and you're traveling as well. Someone who's young in the 20s, 30s, they might be able to do it. They might be able to not eat for 20 hours, drink for 20 hours. So I leave that at the discretion of the individual to see that what are their past experiences. Like, can they go for long hours without food and drink? Most people in the West cannot because they're used to eating 3 meals a day. But people part of the other countries, they might just have 1 meal, or someone who's used to doing intermittent fasting. They're very used to not eating and drinking for a very long time. So for them to just add a few more hours might not be too much for them. But it is a very long fast if you're coming from the east to the west. So you have to be mindful for that.
You have to do it based on the local time.
Yes, where you're locally at.
So if you're fasting and then you start traveling and then you become a musafir, then you are allowed to break your fast, right?
Correct. So if you started the fast because you were a resident, and then in the middle of the day you became a musafir, and then you break your fast, you're allowed to do that.
And then do you have to make up for it?
Yes. You do have to make up for the fast that you break or don't fast because of traveling. A simple rule, just to help out, is the amount of days of Ramadan there were for you, you have to make sure you fulfill those days. So if you miss any of those days, whether it be sickness, whether it be traveling, for whatever reason you did not fast, those days have to be made up.
What about the pregnant side? Usually people do have alcohol there and they say accidentally,
So there is the concept of smelling. To smell anything in fasting, that's permissible. Smelling ittar, anything. What's impermissible is the steam. So when food is being cooked and there's physical steam, you could actually see it, visual steam, okay? To take that in deliberately, that is not permissible. If it happens to go on its own, that's fine. So let's say someone is smoking, and you're secondhand smoke, you're walking past them. You didn't deliberately take a whiff in, but it just happens to go in your nose. Nothing, your fast is not broken. It's completely fine. But you, while walking in and the people are smoking and now you're inhaling that smoke on purpose, that will break your fast. So it's the steam or the smoke that breaks the fast, not smelling something. So you put on ittar, you put on fragrance, or you walk in a house and there's a really nice smell. That's completely fine. Okay. Yes.
After using miswak, sometimes small particles stay inside the mouth. In that case, we have to spit out, right?
Yes.
But if we are like within the salah or in a place where we cannot spit out, then
If it's a small part, so the question is that when we use miswak, sometimes small particles break apart and get lodged in your teeth. The best practice is to take them out whenever you can. But if you're in salah and now you feel it, just like any other food item that was stuck in your tooth, how would you have done it, right? If it's something small, you could take it out with your finger, do that. If not, just leave it until the salah is finished. And then take it out if it's not bothering you too much. Yeah. Any other questions?
If the fiber of the miswak accidentally gets in your system, that you will know.
If it's something that's so small that could not have been avoided, if it's something small that it's very negligent that you could not have avoided, then that is ma'fu'anhu, that is forgiven. You're not responsible for that. But if it's a significant amount and you could have taken it out, but you didn't, then you're responsible for that. So a lot of these things are what we call is based on an individual situation. It doesn't really apply to everyone throughout. You'll look at the individual, that the person involved in it. Was it something that they could have done it? It was like, I cleaned my mouth extremely well, and it just happened to go down. I didn't even know there was something lodged in there. And it was a small, strand of the miswak that went down. That is forgiven.
So earlier it was mentioned that it is sunnah to finish the Quran during Ramadan. Is it because Ramadan was mandated on the second year? So does it have to be finishing the Quran itself, or does it reading the Quran more on?
So to listen to the entire Quran in Taraweeh Salah, that is sunnah. Okay. So one sunnah, part of Taraweeh sunnah is to listen to the entire Quran or recite if you're the Imam, the entire Quran once in Taraweeh Salah, if possible. That is a sunnah. If the community for some reason cannot do it, they don't have a hafiz, or they're not used to standing too long and they're complaining to the Imam all the time, you pray too long, then the Imam could just do short surahs and complete it, but 20 rakat must be still done for the sunnah. Imam Abu Hanifa, he mentions that there are two rights of the Quran. The right of the Quran that you must do at least minimum of 2 khatams a year, one in Ramadan and one outside of Ramadan. That's your individual recitation now. So that's a separate. So one recitation should be done in Ramadan and one outside of Ramadan. Try to recite as much as you can, that's good, but try to, do both. I mean, you don't have, sometimes we choose, so if someone has, let's say they're trying to memorize, they want to do hifz, do your one juz of recitation first, and then, start memorizing as much as you can for the other portions that you want to, so at least that one khatam is done. Minimum of one khatam. MashaAllah, people do a lot more as well, do 3, 10, 20 khatams in month of Ramadan as well.
So is listening the Quran in Taraweeh fulfills your requirement to read the Quran?
No. It's a separate sunnah. Reciting is separate, listening is separate. So the sunnah of Taraweeh, there's separate sunnah of Taraweeh. One understanding that the concept of sunnah, this is a longer topic, inshallah, maybe Ustad Saeed could, some other day could explain this as well, that hadith is different, sunnah is separate. Sunnah is not just the Prophet, it's the collective understanding of Sharia from the time of the Prophet and the Sahaba. Alaykum bis sunnati wa sunnatu khulafai rashidin al-mahdiyyin. So the word sunnah is also used for the khulafai rashidin, what they collectively also have done. So the 20 rakat Taraweeh was not there at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but at the time of the Sahaba it was established and accepted by everyone. Right? All the Sahaba accepted at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, there will be 20 rakats in Jama'ah. So 20 rakats is sunnah, and then to do the Quran khatam, that's also sunnah. That is, according to Sharia, we will still call that a sunnah. If someone tries, did the Prophet ever do that? So there's a misunderstanding people have that what can you classify as a sunnah? From the narrations, this is a long discussion. From the narrations, from the Prophet. See, sometimes too much ilm also, people can use it to get off the wrong track, right? One of my teachers, just going off on a tangent here, one of my teachers said that sometimes ilm, it takes a person away from action. So he would teach us that, in salah, when you pray salah, to turn your face is makruh. You cannot turn your face and look. But in salah, to move your eyes, it's not even makruh. So my students say, what? In salah, if you move your eyes, not makruh, so now all of a sudden they're looking all over the place. They said, that ilm is not guidance now. That ilm is misguidance. Because it's just take away from you. So certain knowledge, people, acha. Let me make Ramadan. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed Tarawih 3 days, not the whole month. So I'm going to follow that sunnah. I'm only going to pray 3 days. So he did it towards the end of his life, right? The Tarawih Salah was towards the end of that. He did it 3 days, but when a lot of people started gathering, then he stopped. But then at the time of the Sahaba, they collectively got together, and then 20 rakats was done. And no one made nakir, no one objected. Everyone agreed upon this as well.
As far as that khatam, this is not related to the khatam. It doesn't matter if you start the Quran before Ramadan and finish it in Ramadan, or does it have to be all within Ramadan?
It's better if you can do it in Ramadan, but if you've already started, let's say right now you're on the 15th juz and you're reading every day one juz. Now month of Ramadan started, you don't have to start from the beginning. Finish that one juz. Inshallah, finish that one juz and then start. So you don't have to start from the first juz on the first day of Ramadan. That's not necessary. His brother, any questions? Do you have sisters downstairs? Yeah. Do they have any questions? There's no system for texting them to the IT department. Seems like you guys forgot there were sisters downstairs. Well, if they have any questions, if there were answered and you want more clarity, or they were not answered, feel free to contact us at the Darul Ifta Darul Qasim. So myself, Mufti Hisham, we're all a part of the Darul Ifta Darul Qasim website. So during Ramadan, our website will still be open. We will only be taking questions that are related to Ramadan. Okay, so any other questions, we'll say please ask after Ramadan. But in Ramadan, we want to concentrate on any of your ibadat, Taraweeh prayers, questions regarding fasting. Someone might become Umrah, so questions regarding Umrah. We'll keep the portal specifically so people could get their questions answered very quickly, inshallah. So you may go to the website and submit your questions, and then you'll get your answers from there.
So I have one question about praying Tarawih during Ramadan. Some of the, I guess, folks or even young kids, they will be sitting and talking and texting, but then as soon as the Jamaat goes into ruku, they stand up. But then there's also hadith saying that there is no salah without Surah Fatiha. So they missed Surah Fatiha and it was intentional.
So there's two questions in that. First question is not just the youngsters. I've seen many uncles also doing that. So that's not a good practice. That's not a good practice that you wait until the imam is just about to go into ruku and then you quickly run and try to join him ruku. It's a very bad habit. It's also disrespectful to the Quran as well, especially you're already in the masjid. Right? If someone is coming late and they happen to be masbook, then because they're late, they had a reason. But if you're in the masjid, there's no reason to purposely not join the salah, and the salah is taking place, you're sitting and talking, etc. Yes, if it's a one-off, like someone's legs are very hurting, they need to sit down for just a little bit. That's understandable. But when you make that into a habit, then you're making the tarawih into a chore. It's not ibadah anymore. So a lot of it's more of like the internal perception of what the purpose of Tarawih is, why are we doing this, etc. It's for us to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some targheeb, some encouragement would be very beneficial. Human beings, we always have our nafs with us. Shaitan is locked up, but our nafs is still there. Our nafs really makes us lazy. So it could be good if you just gently remind people that we should not have this habit as well. So the second question is that if someone did not join the Imam's Surah Fatiha, so La Salata illa bi Fatihatil Kitab, would that narration fall upon them? It will not fall upon them. The salah will still be valid. The similar if someone were not in the masjid and they came late and they joined the Imam in ruku'. Once you join the Imam in ruku', you get that entire rak'ah. So when you get the entire rak'ah, you get the Surah Fatiha and the surah and everything with it as well. So by joining, as long as you got the Imam in the ruku', you caught that rak'ah. So when you get the rak'ah, you get everything of the Imam. Therefore, technically the salah is still valid. It's still valid. But we want, again, let's not use this knowledge to, use it against us for let me just join in the ruku' as well. The best is to join the Imam in the Takbiratul Ula. There's a lot more reward is that. Rewarding that. And maybe once in a while between at the beginning of the Taraweeh or just some advice, some encouragement that what is the purpose of us actually coming here? Why are we coming to the masjid? Performing 20 rakats. and coming to the masjid 30 days or 29 days of the month. This is a month for us to gain as much as possible. Just a smaller encouragement, people realize their purpose, and it's very easy for them to just come back on track. Yes.
If someday he goes somewhere, he won't reach over that mosque, he goes some other mosque, then he got the sunnah for the other, for the whole listening Quran?
They must listen to the whole Quran.
Some places maybe they are behind or far.
Yeah. So the question is that we call that Taraweeh hopping. When you hop from different masjids, sometimes, oh man, that person is really nice, I'm going to go join that Taraweeh one day, and then I'll join that Taraweeh one day. In order to get the entire Quran khatam, you should pray behind one imam. This way you're guaranteed that you'll get that khatam, you heard the entire Quran. That's understandable, but again, keep in mind that as long as your intention was there, there are certain things that we must make our effort to make sure we tried our best. So someone wanted to listen to the entire Quran, but one day he had upset stomach and he missed 2 rakats and he was in the bathroom. His intention was there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based us on our intention. That person tried their best. Inshallah, we have hope that Allah will give him the ajr and give him the reward of listening to the entire Quran. Right? But as long as they made effort, but if someone delivers like, today I'll listen here, tomorrow I'll listen there, I'm tired, I'm going to be 20 rakats at home today, then they're not getting the entire Quran. So they're missing out on that sunnah. So the best is to join one place where they have the entire Quran. After the Quran khatam is done, you're not off the hook. You still have to pray Taraweeh, right? And then if you want to go to the various masajids, you may do so. So there is no minimum. You could do the entire Quran in one day, but you still have to read 20 rakats Taraweeh for the rest of the month. You could do short surahs. So a lot of times people do this to accommodate people. When the nights are longer, they might do more Quran because people want to pray. So I remember, good 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it was very normal to have people read 3 juz a night in Taraweeh. Because the night was young. We will start very young. Muazzez Ahmad would lead in the places, at Dr. Asif's house. There'll be 3 juz a night and no one felt it. By 10 o'clock, 10:30 we'll be done. So when the nights are smaller, sometimes they might do more recitations so people can enjoy more. And the summer days, the nights are very short, so they might just do just 1 juz and finish on the 29th, like that. And on Sundays, they'll do a little bit more. So there is no limitation of how quickly can you do the khatam. A lot of times here in Chicagoland, what I notice is many people work at nighttime. They have second shift job, and they're not able to get the entire Quran. So certain masjids, like we're doing Quran for 4 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So you could those individuals that work, at least they could take that Friday or maybe Monday off, and then they have the weekend, at least they'll get the Quran like that. So they want to accommodate for individuals that were not able to get the entire Quran. They may go to this location and they'll get it in 4 days, which is a very good idea to accommodate for people that are not able to come every single night to listen to the Quran. They have work, they're praying inshallah 20 rakats, but they didn't get a chance to listen to the Quran. So that's one of the reasons why you have these various lengths of Taraweeh.
About the individual recitation of the Quran, can you please give us some examples from our Islam, past Islam and recent Islam, and how much importance they used to put it on?
There is books and books written on this, so the Quran, the Ramadan is the month of the Quran. I know we're already way past the time, it's almost 3 o'clock now. Lunch is there as well, lunch is getting cold. But there was a habit of our, pious predecessors that they would engage, they would dedicate this month for the recitation of the Quran. It's very easy for them to recite 2 juz a day. It's narrated for Imam Shafi'i as well as Imam Abu Hanifa that they would do 2 juz a day, 60 Qurans in the month of Ramadan. I've seen people in my life when I was studying in South Africa, one of the teachers also, he used to do 61 Qurans. He used to do 2 a day plus 1 in Taraweeh. So he used to do 61 Qurans in the month of Ramadan. There's scholars here in Chicagoland still alive that just a few years ago they would do 1 Quran, and they're in their 60s, 70s, very weak, they have diabetes, so they get very tired, but they have the himmah They have the courage, the zeal, and they're still doing one khatam a day. So what I would recommend is what you normally do more than that. Sometimes what happens is we hear these stories and we get such like, I'm going to do it as well. And then the first day we go out and then we burn all of our gas, and next day for the next week, no Quran whatsoever. Okay? So have a set time. The best way is don't look at the amount, look at the time. This way, if a juz is easy, you'll do more. If the juz is a bit difficult, you might do less, but you dedicated a time. So I'm going to spend 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day. Now in that 1 hour, dedicate that 1 hour for Quran, no matter how much you cite. You'll have more barakah in that. But if you do it like, I'm going to do one juz no matter what, some days that juz might be very difficult and you're going to find it straining. The words are difficult, the recitation, you might be tired, whatnot, so you might not be able to finish it, and then you lose hope. That, you know what, I can't do this. I'm not a person that could do this. So instead of the amount, dedicate the time frame. That after Fajr, I'll sit for half an hour. After Isha, I'll sit for another half. After Tarawih, I'll sit for another half an hour. And the daytime, after Asr, there'll be a lecture. After the lecture, I'll sit until Maghrib and I'll do Quran. And you'll see that with the barakah of that, by managing your time, you'll be able to complete a good portion of Quran on a daily basis. So our pious predecessors, they had a lot of himmah, and they also had barakah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants barakah to whoever He wishes. That we cannot really understand the concept of barakah through scientific means. It's something that Allah grants, that in a short amount of time you accomplish a lot. Sheikh Zakaria rahimahullah, even outside of Ramadan, he would do one khatam throughout the day. Throughout the day, in his sunnah prayers, he'll do some. Sunnah qabliyah, sunnah ba'diyah, he will do as well. Then you're just walking, like one of our teachers, he would read one juz from going to the masjid to his house. He would recite to someone. Mawlana Shabir Sahib, our principal, on a daily basis after Asr, while walking to his house, he would recite one juz to one of the Hifz teachers. So when a person has that concern, they will find a way. They will find some means to get their Quran done. But it's just that we need that encouragement. Reading the lives of the pious predecessors is one of the greatest ways for us to create that encouragement. And that's that, hey, they were also human beings. If they could do it, let me do at least half of that. Let me try, inshallah. So there's a lot of stories from our pious predecessors regarding the Quran they used to read in the month of Ramadan. Should we break for food? Inshallah. Inshallah, the person that did the program could do the dua.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم بلغنا رمضان اللهم بارك لنا في رجب وشعبان وبلغنا رمضان اللهم بلغنا رمضان سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Ameen. Jazakumullah khair, everyone.
First of all, Jazakallah to both Maulana Saeed Sahib and Mufti Azaz Sahib. And we have like arrangements of food downstairs, so please you proceed downstairs. Liaqat by standing on the door.